You're always doing something fun, but your California Fall Color website, which is californiafallcolor.com, really tracks the change throughout the state and just has some amazing photos as well. How did you get started on this whole project?
Well, I started actually in about the early 80s when I was at a public relations agency and got an assignment to help Yosemite with some advertising. And the hotels were empty in fall. And they said, we have beautiful fall colors. So we came up with this line, why go to New England? And there was a New Englander in our office who complained, and she said, oh, there's nothing like New England. So I sent her up there, and she discovered the pastel pinks and oranges and the yellows and blacks of Yosemite Valley, and came back and she said, you're absolutely right. And all over our state, we have spectacular color, but most of the population lives along the coast, and there's not the greatest color along the coast. You have to go inland and up into the mountains, and it's absolutely blowing away right now. There's color everywhere.
It's funny that you say that, John, because I have a friend who claims that California has two seasons, green and gold. And I guess coastally, that probably is pretty much what we see.
Gold with the grasses turning,
when
right?
Everything turns brown, green and gold.
At least he calls it gold. Other people just say brown. You know?
Yeah.
Well, I love the color. And if right now, actually, we're having the earliest fall color season we've seen in years. Above 8,500 feet in the eastern Sierra is where our most spectacular colors start. And I've actually issued this last week our first Go Now declaration, which is to tell people you've got to go now. You can't wait more than a week. You must go to see certain areas.
This would be like Mono County?
It's in Inyo County right now,
okay.
And at very high elevation. And so, but Mono County, actually at Mammoth Lakes, you can see the Sherwins, which are mountains above Mammoth Lakes that are at around 50% right now. Probably will go to 75% within the week, and will peak the week after. We have actually some areas in the High Sierra that are peaking this coming week.
Why do you think that this year is having such an early fall change?
That's what I was wondering. Does it have to do with the lack of rain, perhaps?
We think that is the case. You know, the scientists will tell me no, that's not it. But I'm anecdotal in my knowledge of the fall color. And in every year where we've had a dry winter, we've seen early fall color or shorter-lived fall color. And in years where we've had lots of rain, we've seen longer-lasting fall color. And I frankly believe that there's just more fluid in the trees. There's just more moisture in the ground and the air, and they last longer. I don't know how long it'll last. Now, California has a reputation for the longest-lasting fall color in the United States, probably maybe in the world.
Wow.
And the reason is we have such range of elevation. In New England, the color falls by latitude. That is, the cold weather starts to move south, and once the snow and other storms hit the trees, well, they lose their leaves. But the color moves, and if you aren't there exactly in a week or 2 weeks when the color's at peak, you've missed it. And so many people go to New England, and they're totally disappointed because they say, oh, I wanted to see all this beautiful red, and they missed it. Whereas in California, if you miss it at 8,500 feet, it's occurring at 7,500 feet.
You just go a little farther.
Just go down in elevation.
Yeah, they plan their whole trip around it, trying to guess ahead of time when it will peak in New England. And in many cases, like you said, they're disappointed because they've, time is the most valuable thing of all, and they've spent their vacation time and then dollars as well to get there, and may have skipped it. In New England, if I'm right, I believe the main color component is made up with maple trees. Here in California, what are the trees that give us the best splashes of color throughout the Sierra?
Well, it varies around the state because we have so many ecosystems and elevation. In the eastern Sierra, at the highest elevation, we have quaking aspen. And what's interesting about our aspen is they turn red and orange and yellow, not just yellow as you see in the Rocky Mountains.
Okay.
And right now we have flame orange and red over at Sabrina Campground up at Bishop Creek Canyon. It's actually 50 to 75% turned, which means it's close to peak or at peak. In fact, it may have peaked this weekend. But that's just one area of numerous areas in the eastern Sierra. So there's still opportunity. For example, at North Lake, they're only 30 to 50% turned. and that'll turn this next week up to 50. What is interesting, Randall, is the color changes very quickly. If you see it's at 30 on my report, CaliforniaFallColor.com, if you see it's anywhere from 30 to 50%, make your travel plan, because in the next week it's going to be 50 to 75% or even at peak. And so if you want to do photography or if you want to just see the beautiful fall color, just go to the site, look back historically. You can look at the archives and say, well, what happened last year at this time in September, and see where it was.
When you said North Lake, you meant North Lake Tahoe?
No, North Lake is one of 3 lakes up at the eastern in the eastern Sierra, Bishop Creek Canyon. There's North Lake, South Lake, and Sabrina Lake.
Because Tahoe will happen farther down the road because of its elevation, right?
That's right. It's at 6,000 to 7,000 feet. So again, knowing that, if we're peaking above 8,500 to 9,000 feet right now, my rule of thumb is that color drops at 500 to 1,000 feet per week. And so it's going to be some weeks before Tahoe turns.
And it's interesting what you said about coastally, we don't get much fall color change, but it will happen in little tiny pockets. It might just be one tree in someone's yard, but there is a stretch, and we told you about this last year, and I never drove past it because you said take a picture of it for me,
right.
and
then you didn't.
I never drove past it.
Tell me where it is. I want to go there.
It's a stretch on Highway 101 between Los Alamos.
Yes, I know, by the winery, the vineyard there.
Yeah, by Lucas and Llewellyn's grapes, I think it is.
It's a beautiful, beautiful spot.
It's a beautiful stretch of trees that just turn this yellowish orange all along that
brilliant.
stretch.
Yeah.
It's terrific. So Patty and I will do our best.
From Southern California.
We'll do our best, John, to get it for you. So, hey, thank you for joining us, and we'll let you get to today's big action there at America's Cup.
Thanks so much.
CaliforniaFallColor.com. John Poimiroo joining us here on the Eat, Drink, Explore radio show. I am your host, Randall White, joined by Patty Pyburn. If you missed any of today's show, you can get it all online at eatdrinkexplore.com. Now get out there. You have all the tools and information you need to have a